Hello, Guillaume. Long time.
Hi, good afternoon, good evening.
Good evening. Today's leaderSHIFT. It's with a great honor and pleasure that you're joining us today, Guillaume. Another episode of leaderSHIFT, and today we're going to talk about how leaders should use feedback to empower their teams. Just by way of introduction, Guillaume is an old friend, an action coach previously, and now he's a focused on the industry of hospitality, coaching and empowering the hospitality business to grow and to develop. For the ones who are watching us on Instagram, you're going to see the screen probably cut in two. I would recommend also going to LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or YouTube to see the full picture. Sorry for that, but you can still watch us and chat with us on the chat box and also on all 5 social media platforms. Guillaume, why don't you introduce yourself?
So could you hear me still, Gabby? Okay, so I'm Guillaume Warnery, as Gabby said. I'm French and Swiss. I spent 25 years in the hotel industry with Le Méridien and Serena Hotel. I work in 10 different countries in 4 different continents. And after 25 years, I joined Action Coach. I did some coaching for 6 years in the Caribbean, in Barbados, and in Lebanon. That's where I met Gabi. And then now I am based in Amman. And I decided actually to join my two passions, which is hospitality and coaching. And now I coach hospitality leaders. And I just released a book called The Hotel Coach.
Nice. Thank you very much, Guillaume. And when it comes to the topic of today, and following us and watching us today are leaders of all sorts in any industry. I would not say only in hospitality industry. Marshall Goldsmith said, "Feedback is the breakfast of champions," and feed forward should be the term and not feedback. How and what are the benefits of using feedback and how this empowers our team?
Okay, so I can give you some example. For example, that's what I relate in the book. I did a chapter on how feedback could be very powerful. And I will give you the first time, actually, the first strategy that I'm using in terms of feedback. It's something happened to me when I was in Phuket. I was director of food and beverage. I just arrived in the hotel. And for the first time, I had difficulty to integrate and to connect with the team. And I used to do on daily basis just a small get together, but a small standing up briefing every day. And I use this opportunity just spontaneously. I just asked them, okay, I asked everybody who were there, the people reporting to me, and I told them, could you just write on a piece of paper 3 things that you would like me to do more with you, things that you like on the way I deal with you, and 3 things you would like me to change. And it was very powerful. Thai people usually don't like to share in front of people. They don't like to receive feedback in front of people. You could be very tough with a Thai person, but never in front of colleagues. And so in 5 minutes, I learned a lot. First of all, they all write something. It was anonymous. And I received, so I had 8 people reporting to me, 3 ideas each. And I received, let's say, 20 ideas or things that they love that I was doing with them and the way I was interacting. So what I did, I remember the feedback was we introduced a lot of training and incentive, and so of course I continued that. More important for me was the feedback they told me on things I need to change. And for example, they give me a very good feedback on cultural. They told me I was aggressive on my communication. And just because I used to when I was standing, I used to put my hand on the hips, which is very aggressive for the Thai because it's like a warrior attitude. And they used to tell me when I was with clients, that's the way I used to interact with the client. So the only thing I did, I used to a drink in my hand, and it was finished. I didn't have to do that. No, but what was more important to me that first of all, I get some feedback. Within a month, I was able to implement 90% of the suggestions they were giving me. And the meaning for them that I was able to change. I was accepting the change. I was accepting feedback. So it was easier for me after to give them feedback on one-to-one, because they saw I was also changing. And this was completely spontaneous. It was not planned, but I use it in different hotels after. So it was a long-term strategy for me. And it's just show you and to the people you lead that you are ready to listen to them, that you are ready to accept their suggestion, and they see it very quickly. And what is very interesting also, it doesn't cost any money, and you can implement tomorrow. So anybody who watch us or who are going to listen this strategy, they can apply in their business with their team tomorrow. It takes 5 minutes. And it's a lot of good ideas that you get from the people reporting to you directly.
So what you're suggesting is leaders should request 360 feedback most of the time so that they gauge where they are in their leadership journey. This is amazing because from the executive coaching teaching, they always recommend a 360 feedback from your stakeholders. And by stakeholders, I mean not only people, your subordinates or your team, but also your peers, your managers, your clients, your suppliers, because those are the people who will be affecting you, affecting your career, your business, positively or negatively, and you are affecting them. Now, is it enough to have a one-time 360 feedback and then to anonymously get to know what people think about me as a leader, or I should respond in an action plan, or I should go to them and tell them, listen, I received your feedback. These are the two behaviors I need to change, and this is my action plan to change. How do you manage this? How should a leader manage this process?
Yeah, no, this is obviously it's a fantastic. I recommend everybody to do 360 because then you have a feedback from even from people outside your company. That's definitely before to answer to your question. What I did in the book is actually because there is many ways to do 360. There is companies, but I have specifically because I wrote that during the COVID. Every strategy in the book can be implemented within 3 months, and there is no cost aligned with. And you might have a company who have the possibility to invest on 360s, on human resource. And there is small business who might say it's too complicated, I don't have time, or I don't have the resource to do 360. So that's why I've done the technique. I'm going to give you the 4 or 5 strategy I'm going to give you on the feedback on this podcast. There is absolutely no investment attached to. Now, to answer to your question, Gabi, yes, obviously when you do a 360, if you use it just as a report and there is no action, then it's just loss of money. It's good to know, but if you don't take any action and you don't share what you are going to do, it's a loss of time and money. So the first thing is to do an action plan based on what you learn from the 360. And obviously, the best way to have an accountability factor is to share your action plan with the people around you and tell them what you learn from this and what you are going to do with this action plan. And that's what you are mentioning at the beginning, the feed forward. It's not talking about what happened in the past, but it's more interesting to see what are you going to do to change, and it's towards the future. That's what Marshall Goldsmith explain, and I totally agree with that. It's fantastic. It's to think about ahead and not to just think about the past. The past cannot be changed. You have to learn it from it, and you have to move your action plan towards the future.
This is excellent, because why also the benefits I see in sharing your action plan, as you mentioned, Guillaume, is that due to cognitive resonance. people think about me as a leader, let's say I'm not a decision maker, because of one instance out of many, I appear to be a non-decision maker. And this will kind of stay in their mind that Gabby is not a decision maker because due to cognitive resonance. Once you tell them that, listen, I'm going to change, and this is how I'm going to do it, and this is the action plan, I need to hear from you, the cognitive resonance or prejudice about me and my behavior as a leader will start to change because I tell them I'm going to start to change. Do you believe in this, or there's another technique or way that you should inform your stakeholders to support you and to keep you on track whenever you want to change?
No, yes, you need definitely. It's difficult to change by yourself. You need to be aware. So the 360 or whatever the feedback you receive, it's for you to be aware of what you don't see about yourself. And then after you need to have, the team need to trust you to make sure that you are going to do that together. So I totally agree with that. Now, let me share you also another type of feedback, completely easy to do for the people watching us, that they can implement in their business, even so if it's not hospitality. It's something where, and it's also no cost attached. So something they can do next week and without losing any money. Another feedback that I love too is, and that's something that I learned in New Orleans. I spent a year and a half working for Le Méridien Hotel in New Orleans. And they had the habits. It's not something that I started. I learned it from there. They used to decide one day a year. They used to take the executive team and they used to call swap the day. So the general manager, the financial controller, sales, the chief engineer, director of revenue, the food and beverage director of the room. So let's say the 8 key people used to swap the day, and we used to decide, okay, so for me, for example, that was my choice, but I spent a day with a department that didn't know. It was the housekeeping. The housekeeping is a department where, so I spent a day with a maid, 8 hours, with a woman cleaning rooms. And so the day before, I had to go to the laundry, take my uniform. I arrived on time, so dressed like a maid, like a bellboy, and I was shadowed with a very good staff, and I spent 8 hours with them. And obviously, it's fun at the beginning, but you learn a lot from the people you're working with. I learned a lot that I realized that cleaning 14 rooms in a day, bathroom, toilet, it's exhausting, but also spending 8 hours with someone, you learn about them, you learn about their problem, their issues. You see how they feel about the team, about the hotel, how they see the management. It was a great learning process. First of all, the first learning was I was exhausted and I could totally respect them. The second thing, I was very happy the next day to go back in my department and to be another director of food and beverage. And I realized how lucky I was to do that. The learning that it was the following week, when I was sometimes duty manager, so I mean in charge of the hotel during the weekend, I started to go to see this department, and they adopted me a little bit. I was like their son, their adopted son. So I get a great respect from all this team. It was an hotel of 400 rooms, 300 staff members. There was maybe 50, 60 maids. And so I completely, it's changed my way of seeing this department, of seeing these people. I understand them better. So my relationship with all these departments within a year changed a lot. But in the long term, also in the 4 or 5 hotels I worked after, I had a special attention for this department because I knew and I realized that cleaning 14 bedrooms, your back is in shambles. At the end of the day, you are exhausted. I used to have a lot of respect, and I used to spend more time with his department in the future. It's also changed a little bit my management style, my approach, and I discovered something new. So I will recommend to any business owner. I know there is a reality show now where a boss go undercover. I don't think undercover is good, because I think it's good to do it cover. But other than my experience, for example, the general manager spent 8 hours in the lobby as a bellboy. First of all, the client recognized him, so he was the uniform of the bellboy. Some of the clients ask him, but why do you do this? They find it very interesting as a client to see that the general manager, so he used to explain all the executive team today are spending a day in another department. He realized also the tips the bellboy were doing was interesting, but he realized also the power of and the attitude and as actually every team person is essential in the whole organization. For example, the chief engineer, I was the food and beverage director, and I had difficulty to bring the chief engineer to maintain the equipment to clean all the kitchen. So we asked him to spend one day with the cleaner doing pot washer, and he realized what it was to work 8 hours in a place which is humid, which is a lot of noise, which is intense. And he realized that if his team was not maintaining properly the equipment, or when we had an issue, the response was not fast, it was an issue for the team. What happened after? Very quickly, he was on top of all the problem, all the equipment, all the maintenance in the kitchen. He was responding very quickly. He was the leader for his department. So everybody learned a lot. I know the financial controller, for example, another anecdote, had a lot of issue with the executive chef. So we organized that the financial controller was a woman, a very nice lady. She spent 8 hours. She came at 5 o'clock in the morning in dressed as a chef, cooking with the executive chef all day. And actually they create a very good bonding after 8 hours, and they become best buddy. And then in the future, as soon as the executive chef needs some investment, in the budget, the financial controller was much more open to help and to assist. So I will recommend to everybody, just try something very like this. Swoop your day and go somewhere. If you manage a business where there is a lot of transportation, go and spend the day with the driver and see what he's doing, see the experience he has, bond with him, learn from them. That's a great feedback you can get from your team. This is the second. I give 5 different strategies. This is the second one. It's an easy one.
I like this strategy, Guillaume, because Marshall Goldsmith say, when you ask for feedback as a leader, it takes courage, humility, and discipline. And what you suggest here, it takes courage to swap that role. It takes humility to assume the role of a bellboy or working in the kitchen, but also you need to hear and you need to create momentum and discipline to change your behavior as a leader. Where people can find your book to read more about such stuff?
So the book is called the Business of Hotel, and it's actually it's the story are from the hotel, but it's 9 strategy for leadership, and it's actually the 3 strategy to get more. I realized when I used to come in teams, sometimes the team were out of focus. So it's only 3 strategy to get more focus. One is about the purpose of the business, where we go. The second one is with who we work, how to identify your asset in the team. Who are, for example, the potential star? Who are the actual star? How do you keep them? And the third strategy on having more clarity, it's about how, as a leader, you manage your time between the things who are highly skilled and the things you love to do. Then there is 3 strategy on how to support. This will be more the management. How do you support your team? One of them is how you coach your team on one-to-one. Instead to do a meeting where you tell them what to do, you coach them, and that you know how we use what we use with the clients. The second is how you the decision making. How, as a leader, you teach the people reporting to you how you take decision. One of them, you know very well. It's from, and I learned it from Maxwell. It's, for example, when you have one problem, brings three solutions. You know, this is, so I explained few decision, how to take decision, and the last decision, the last strategy, it's about how we create good meeting and good communication. I spent so many hours on meeting who are not useful. I explain how to do a meeting weekly, different, and which will be engaging. And there's three strategy finally on the leadership. One is exactly what we talk about. It's how you engage your staff to get more feedback. This is about engagement. Another one is something that you know also. I use one of the strategy of Marshall Goldsmith, is the 7 question of leadership. It's how, as a business leader, you align yourself, the people reporting to you in the business. And the last strategy is about recruiting, how to recruit the best people. So no, I will give you a link. It's on. I can give you a link on how to find the book. And if you want, if you allow me, I will give you another strategy, very interesting, that, and I have discussed with few general managers from hotels, and they are using it. And it's something that I learned that in South America when I was in Guyana. It's to do, we used to do a weekly dinner, the general manager and myself, I was the number 2, with one person from each department, 10 people. So I understand if you are not in a hotel, you cannot do that because it's expensive, but you could do a meeting. You take one person from each department, you offer them some biscuits, something to drink. But what we used to do, we used to invite them. So we realized, first of all, the staff, many of the staff never had experienced the product. So they were very proud to come and to have a dinner with the general manager. But what was the key? The general manager told me, look, we are going to allow them to drink. And at the beginning, everybody is shy, but after 2 or 3 drinks, things are going, people are talking. We learned 2 things. First of all, as you said, to come back to what you are telling me, humility and trust. After a few beers, they were very able to trust us, and they gave very good feedback. What was very important for us was to action this, to take 3 or 4 points given by the staff and to action them within the next few days. And they saw that we were changing very quickly, taking action. So every week we had 10 people. So within a month, 40 people. Within 2 months, 80 people. What has changed also, the head of department, sometimes they didn't want us to know they are covering issues. They knew they couldn't cover any issue. And the change, there was also a change in the habits. The head of department started to be much more open with us, telling us the problem, and we were, instead to tell them, to feel them guilty, we were there to assist them to solve them. So we coach the head of department to solve the problem of the staff. It was a turnaround, fantastic. This is a great, as I said, if you're not in the hotel, obviously for an hotel, it's not expensive to invite people to eat. If you cannot, as a leader, have 10 people from each department directly, it's fantastic. And what we learned, the last things we learned, usually the staff will tell them problem they have themselves. When you solve that within few months, they start to see the issue of the client, how we can better serve the client. When you are at that level, the team is with you and you serve better your client. And so, you know, these 3 are also very easy to put in place. These 3 strategies that I explain are in the book. I explain them better, obviously, because I have more time. And we used to do something that I don't have time to explain that, but something that you know, because we did together, a huge, great benefits of getting feedback is what we call stop, start, keep. And I know we've done that together with clients. This is a huge, huge way to get a lot of ideas, creativity, and things you can implement in your business.
It's let me explain it quickly. It's where you put the team in a room and you tell them, listen, this is a flip chart for the things we need to stop doing. This is flip chart is for the things you need to start doing, we're not doing at the moment. And the third one is for the things that we need to keep on improving. And we ask the team to come up with the sticky notes and write and post on the 3 flip charts, and the whole team get to read what everybody have wrote, and then we'll take it to the leader or the business owners and we tell them, this is the feedback from your team. Guillaume, I want to thank you very much for this valuable insight. And of course, a lot of strategies and valuable stuff are in the book.
Yeah. What I wanted to tell them also, if anybody, sorry to cut you, if anybody wants to have more information, I have created, there is this chapter related to today's topic. I can send it for free. It's a gift from you, and so for anybody who sees this replay, they can contact you, or you can give a link, and they will have the full chapter for free of this book.
And they can search for you on social media, the Coach for Hospitality or Guillaume Warnery, and please do so. Contact Guillaume directly also to send you this valuable free gift. Thank you again, Guillaume. God bless.
Thank you very much for your hospitality.